Okay, so Trotter version 2.0. Straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you that the glitch is nowhere near as powerful as version 1 for a number of reasons that I'll cover shortly. It does, however, make the Predator achievement somewhat achievable, with calcs showing that probability goes from roughly 1 in 183 perfect runs down to something like 1 in 13 perfect runs. That is assuming that you have perfect execution on the glitch. I personally have used this to get the Predator achievement on my alt account post-nerf, so it is possible. That said, it took me over 12 hours with hundreds of back-to-back failures once you account for all the non-optimal maps, die rolls, and execution errors. Essentially, the glitch is now performed by striking a Trotter in an adventure domain as the capture event is ending. As the screen fades to black, there's a very tiny window in which you can trigger a battle if your hit lands at the correct moment. Because of the number of Trotters on the field, this battle will almost always bring you into a 3-battle multi-battle, which counts for 3 fights towards the Predator achievement. What has changed from version 1, however, is that the Kafka trick no longer works. You will not be able to land a Kafka technique on the Trotters to get more than 3 multi-battles, as Miho has now applied a fix in which you simply get a pop-up error on your screen which says that you are already in combat. This means that the maximum fights that you can get from a single adventure domain is going to be 3. However, because there is always an adventure domain in plane 3, and we can always reroll the run until we get an adventure domain in plane 1, we can pretty much ensure that we always have at least 2 adventure domains every run. If we then get lucky enough to get an adventure domain in plane 2, we now have the possibility to get up to 9 combats, assuming all 3 adventure domains are Trotters and that we land the glitch every time. So you start to see why this is still pretty tough. That said, the fact that we can get these 9 battles means that the amount of enemies we need from combat multi-battles drops down from 12 to between 6 and 3, which drastically increases our chances compared to getting the achievement naturally. So at the end of the day, it's a question of grinding with an absurdly low success rate, or grinding for a somewhat low success rate but also being locked behind 3 back-to-back skill checks. So if you're going to go for this, I would suggest that you jump into a remembrance run to duplicate adventure domains in order to practice your muscle memory, as this is incredibly tight to execute. My only other tip is in relation to the timer. Typically the timer would tick to 0, hang for roughly half a second before fading to black. This means that I would usually just wait for 0, count half a second before attacking. However, I did find that the timer would also randomly end on 1 second instead of 0 at times, and that these occurrences were totally random. So what I started to do was instead wait for the timer to tick to 1, I would then count half a second, then attack. And then if it ends up ticking to 0, I could then count another half second before attacking again, essentially covering myself for both instances, as there was no feasible way to know if the timer was going to end on 1 or 0.